Openline.
It is a big day in Harbour Grace as the town welcomes Amelia Earhart in statue form, of course, back to its rightful place after the, well, nothing short of, just dastardous deed that somebody stole it, cut it up, and apparently wanted to try to sell it for this, that, and the other thing. But no, the community rallied. We found it. That's another story. But Morgan McDonald went to work, and lo and behold, today is the big day. Pam Parsons, the MHA for the area, is on site. How are you?
Hi, Brian. How are you? It's a very exciting day here in Harbour Grace, as you said. We just literally unveiled the new and improved, Amelia Earhart statue and returned her to her rightful place here just by the Spirit of Harbour Grace plain and, of course, adjacent to the Kyle here in historic Harbour Grace. So I'm actually here at the site now. There's a lot of people here gathered for this very special occasion, and we just also finished up a lovely ceremony at St. Francis School put off by the town, the school. The members of the Pike family are here who contributed a lot to aviation that actually donated the big plane here in Harbour Grace. So, it's a real happy community event here today. We also had an ambassador from Ireland because, as we know, Amelia took off from our historic airstrip here in Harbour Grace and landed in Derry, Ireland. So, lots of great history being celebrated here today.
She has come a long way, and what a great, effort there was to have this taken care of and replaced and back the way it should be before this, this horrific, I'm going to call it horrific, because just when you look at the pieces lying on the ground, the old photos, it's it just boggles the mind, the things that people do, whether it's for a bit of money or whatever, and the crime that goes on. But it's great. What an effort. And it's funny, Pam, I feel like I'm talking to you back in your reporter days, the on the scene report. So tell me the mood, Pam Parsons, and how many people showed up?
The mood here is just amazing. It's exciting. There's optimism. There's pride. There's civic pride. There's international pride here today. As I said, very historic for what's happening. How Harbour Grace is on the map also now for its aviation, and to be celebrated by and helped by Amelia Earhart, to put us on that map with aviation history. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention she's a pioneer and she's a woman. She was a first and a very important woman, a statue of a woman here, and it also coincides with, of course, as we know, the 100th anniversary of women winning the right to vote just last year here in Newfoundland on the island portion of the province. So there's a lot of happiness here today. It was a sad event, a disappointing event about a year ago when we lost the statue, when we know it was taken, in the wee hours in the morning in darkness. But that said, it allowed for this event. Community came together like no other. The town, volunteer groups, the Pike family, myself as government. Everybody came together to help to restore this and to get this back. And I will say, I certainly encourage you, Brian, invite you to come make the trip out here to historic Harbour Grace. She's launched here now. And she's there on a nice platform, a good sturdy platform, and please God, we don't have to ever contend with losing her ever again, because as I said, the people here in Harbour Grace are very proud of this, and rightfully so. And
lots of good security cameras on that area, I hope. Not to joke about it even, but it's sad that we have to do that. And now you have the trifecta there, as you said. The Spirit is there, the Spirit of the Harbour Grace, the Kyle, and Amelia Earhart, all within shadows of each other, and I love that drive. As a kid, we used to drive all the way down, right up through cabin up around Macklinson's. We'd come all the way through on Sunday and Saturday, all the way down through the old railway there and up through, and anyway, Spaniards Bay. And I love the drive, and any opportunity, the next chance, I want to see it in person. I want to go down and have a look at it and get my own little photo of it. I'm sure we'll see lots on socials. Pam, I know you're not the municipal rep there, and you're the MHA for the area in the provincial government, in the House of Assembly. But, speaking of heritage, that 188-year-old heritage structure, the Ridley office, that's a real crying shame. Now, I've seen, the reports on it, and this building was demolished. A lot of people up in arms about it, but this isn't something new. These buildings that are privately owned, when they fall into disrepair, if the owner doesn't look after them and they make an application and it's not already a heritage structure and no one else can take on the expense of it, it can get lost. And that building was demolished. A lot of people upset about it. What are your thoughts?
People are certainly upset about it, and I was certainly made aware of it just literally it was as it was happening, the day of or just the day prior. And people, of course, were sad and disappointed to see this go. I mean, as I mentioned, there's so much history here. But unfortunately, we're seeing this not just here in Harbour Grace, but in different places in St. John's and, across our province. Unfortunately, these things take upkeep and they take money. And every level of government we can all appreciate, whether it's municipal, provincial, and even federal, it takes money to do these things. But that said, it takes people, it takes dedication. So it is certainly sad to see it go. I can't speak to the details of how that came to be because I'm simply not privy to that. I'm not aware of it. As you mentioned, it's a private ownership. But that said, it is always sad to see something crumble or something, with historic value be lost. But that said, maybe, more people can get involved. More people can, because it takes a lot of volunteers to make things happen, as you know. But without our volunteers, there's so many things that would not happen. But then again, hats off to our volunteers for all that they do. But it certainly takes a collective effort, to preserve our history. And just exactly what happened here with Amelia. I mean, people came together, to bring this back. And all hands on deck, and that's what we need to celebrate and to preserve our beautiful history here throughout the entire province.
Yeah, and people have to know about it, such as, and of course, the Amelia Earhart situation is well publicized, but, some people, I guess, would just say it just quietly happened, even though it was before council for some time. So, yeah, and I appreciate it's not your neck of the woods as far as, so to speak. But they are going to use...
That said, Brian, anything that we can do is working together. Like, I often say, we get the best results when we work together, and often, projects takes all levels of government, as well as organizations from community and even business, private business, of working together. When we collaborate, that's when we see the magic happening. So let this be a call to everybody to get involved. I mean, step up if you have passion in preserving history, becoming part of, helping heritage and whatnot. There's always room for volunteers. And again, a heartfelt thanks to every volunteer out there, because without volunteers, I tell you, it'd be a different story all around. So they're very valued and they're needed.
Can't say enough about volunteers. Just as a footnote on that, on the Ridley office, they will probably use some of the original stone in that building in a future construction in the town. So they'll at least be able to preserve some of that physical history. Pam, before I let you go, obviously, just a quick question on the MOU, your thoughts, and the pretty strong and stiff criticism of your former government, of the government under Andrew Furey and then John Hogan, regarding the overreach at Hydro and all those other issues. Your takeaway from the MOU released the report released yesterday on the MOU.
Well, what I would like to see, we've seen, who's now the Premier Tony Wakeham, was very bold, made a lot of promises about this while on the election campaign, what he would do. He would hold a referendum. Those are words that he put on record, to hold a referendum. There's some people think we should have a referendum. There's some people think that citizens should not be involved in a referendum. But that said, the Premier made that promise. The Premier also made the promise that the panel member, which is why the 19th of May was significant, so all the panel members could come together. But then, as we know, lo and behold, at the 11th hour, we hear that the panel members are not going to be available to the public to give a technical briefing to media. So that to me raises a lot of questions. And just to see the Premier and the Minister there yesterday taking questions and to not hear from the people who were on the panel, that's what they were paid taxpayers' dollars to do. And the same going forward with now the group that has been assumed. We have a former PC cabinet minister of natural resources, who's now going to be in charge of this, and as well as the guy from Emira who gave us Muskrat Falls. So I think those are all questions that we need answers to. As you know, Brian, and you said earlier in your show today, many premiers of the past, of all stripes, have tried to reopen that bad deal of 1969, as we know. And I like your idea. I heard you throw it out there. Maybe the premiers of the past should all come together. Politics aside, I said this in the House of Assembly yesterday, this should not be political. This is about the past, present, and future of our province. We're in a position now where we can have great potential and to rightfully get those revenues what we deserve. Here, we have natural resources. We could be the richest jurisdiction in the world, among one of the richest. I think it's time that everybody got to come together. It's time to put politics aside. Politics has no place in this deal, in my personal opinion. But let's all work together and let's all be transparent. We need to be transparent. And when we did bring in that MOU, when Andrew Furey did bring that with Premier Legault at the time, we brought international experts from J.P. Morgan, Power and Chase, Stike and Elliott. Those are international experts with absolutely no political gain or political roots here in Newfoundland and Labrador. So that is independent as it gets. And we have to stop calling Premier Wakeham's panel independent. It is nothing. There's no independent about that. With Chris Huskelson from Emera on that panel, we know again he gave us Muskrat Falls. He was part of that, and we're still paying for that. And people, yes, people say that's of the past, but you know what? Our power bills are doubled because of the Muskrat Falls debt that we owe. And it's only because of the rate mitigation from the federal government that people are not paying double on their power rates. A lot of passion here on this topic, Brian. I know we're probably going to need more time to talk about it, but it's time for, let's remove the politics altogether. Let's be completely open and transparent. Let's call in our premiers from the past, as you suggested. This is everybody should have a stake in this game. It's our past, present, and future of Newfoundland and Labrador.
And I appreciate you picking up that issue. I think it would be very helpful for former premiers to get together, throw down the colors of the party politics, and use their experience, good or bad. Going back to my original question, I just want to know, was it appropriate for the provincial government, for your former Liberal government, to, as the report says, meddle in NL Hydro's negotiating on that contract?
That's said in the report that there was meddling, but myself as a cabinet minister, I don't recall any meddling. I certainly didn't have any involvement, or direct involvement, with dictating, how the negotiating team would operate.
No, I didn't suggest you did, but you read you know the point that I'm making,
from
right?
Our government. I do, and that's what the premier is now grasping at, to say that there was overreach. I don't recall that overreach, so perhaps the premier can bring his panelists and side by side and come out and tell us what he means exactly by that, instead of just, I guess, just blasting off that statement. I don't recall that any overreach with regards to what the work that was done with the negotiating team. Again, international experts were there on our behalf. Again, from J.P. Morgan, these people, again, I can't emphasize that are international experts. They're not former politicians. They're not former cabinet ministers. They're not former premiers. So again, I really don't know what the premier means by that. So he'll have to come out, and he should come out. And again, I'm calling on him. You paid these panelists with taxpayers' dollars. They were paid, whatever they were paid to do this work on behalf of the province. We brought our international experts in the House of Assembly. We like to do the same. The premier promised that this would happen, but now he's backtracking and flip-flopping on what he did promise. So unfortunately, this is becoming a pattern with lack of consultation and lack of following through on what you put on record that you said you would do.
Pam Parsons, the Liberal MHA for Port de Grave, Harbour Grace, Port de Grave. Thank you very much. Enjoy your time there with Amelia today and all the crowd. What a great day for that. And I appreciate
you, Brian.
Appreciate you answering the questions.
Make that trip around the bay. Get out here and make that trip around the bay and see Amelia and all that we have to offer here in Harbour Grace, Port de Grave.
All over it. Can't wait. Thanks again.
Take care.
Okay, take care. Bye. Thank